This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
Good afternoon, everybody. We are sitting here with a very, very large elephant bull. He's just walking away from us now, who has been feeding quite delightfully on this hot, sunny afternoon in South Africa. Hopefully we can catch up with him, but everybody, get ready. It's now time for your own safari live from the African bush. Our gorgeous elephant bull is still with us. As long as we are relaxed, he will be relaxed. He's covered in water, which means he's been splashing himself in order to try and keep cool on this really, really hot day. The sun is out in full force, and of course elephants are doing what they do best, and that is feeding. There's the sunshine and the blue skies. My name is Lauren. I do have Davy on camera, and it's an absolute pleasure to be back on board with you with SABC. We're really looking forward to today's live safari, coming to you from 5 different locations across South Africa, 6 different vehicles. So I'm more than sure that we can show you a plethora of wild animals today. Waterholes are going to be a great place to start. But please do talk to us, send in your questions using the hashtag WildEarth, and we will do our very best to answer them. Anything that you want to know about the different environments that we are going to show you today. Can you hear him? He's a very noisy feeder. That's one way of getting the food you want, by just pushing over the tree. So I'm going to try and keep up with my gorgeous bull here, but it appears that James on the other safari vehicle has a herd of elephants of his own.
Good afternoon and welcome to this end of our very special SABC safari. It's wonderful to have you here in the Lowveld of special South Africa. My name is James Henry. On camera is BK Bokomoso. There's his powerful thumb, and we are hanging around with a magnificent herd of elephants over here. We'd love to have any questions that you might like to ask us, and you can ask us any questions you like using the hashtag WildEarth on Twitter. Anything you like about these animals, or safaris, or conservation, or any other animal questions, we'd love to answer them for you. It's a huge privilege and pleasure to have you on board the world's largest safari vehicle. So this herd of elephants is quite far from the bull that Lauren's got, and this herd is made up of females, cows, and their youngsters. So you won't see a big bull in this herd unless there's a female here that's ready to mate. And everyone's very calmly feeding all around us, and it's very special to be in the presence of these great creatures. Any of you saying good afternoon to BK and us? Well, it's wonderful to have you with us, as I said. BK, there's a very large cow making her way this way. Maybe we'd like to have a look at. There she is. Now, by holding her ears out like that, she's saying, I know that you're there, I'm aware of you, and I'm slightly uncomfortable, but not very. Indeed, Melanie, elephants are a fantastic way to start this drive. And you'll see what she's done is she's just come between us and the rest of the herd. She's probably the second ranking female in the group, so not the matriarch, but her second in command. I think the matriarch's the big one just behind there, whose ears you can see flapping in the left. And now we're going to send you about 2,000 kilometers across the country to the northwest into the Kalahari, where there's a giraffe ready to slake its thirst.
Good afternoon from a beautiful day at Tswalu Kalahari. My name's Dylan and Jean-Ray on camera. It's just great having you all with us, and a big welcome to our SABC viewers. It's going to be great spending time with you, showing what we've got over here. We've just got down to this waterhole, and we were sitting here for about 5 minutes, and this beautiful group of giraffe, or some people call it a journey of giraffe, came down and started drinking water. And we're just admiring the reflections in that here. You've got some cows, you've got some really, really, really big bulls. This one that's actually walking straight towards us now, that's an adult bull. You can just see the immense size of this animal. It's just interesting to note the direction that they came from. There's a very steep embankment coming down to the water. Ola has just asked, how much water would one of these animals drink? Like 20 to 30 liters a day, easily. Their water requirements will be quite high for an animal this size. Although they are getting a lot of water from the leaves of the trees that they're eating as well, a lot of moisture as well. But just look at this. This is my favorite part, when he flicks his head up. Just wait for it. Wait for it. Look at that, look at that. I think just with such a good sighting, I'm just going to sit and wait here and see what they do.
Good afternoon, everybody, and a very, very warm welcome to And Beyond Ngala. My name is Eric, and behind camera, as always, is Owen. And this afternoon we decided to come and check some of these big open areas to see if we could find anything. And literally some of the first animals we have found is this nice big herd of wildebeest. And most of them, as I'm talking, have decided to get up, but some of them are still lying down in the shade. So that one on the left hand side is one of the last ones to get up, and then there is a small group that's directly behind it. And they've spent the whole morning, I guess. Yeah, it's been a very, very hot winter's day. The sky, I'm very happy to have you on my vehicle this afternoon. I'm excited to show you, see what And Beyond Ngala has to offer. But like I was saying, most of these wildebeest were resting in the shade, trying to escape the heat. And I'd assume that the majority of the animals at this time of day will be doing exactly the same. So as we're driving, at least for the next hour or so, it's exactly where we'll be looking, is in these nice big clump of shady bushes where it provides some cool shelter from the hot winter's sun. These wildebeest are getting up one by one, and I think it's because they don't really want to get left behind. As soon as they're by themselves, they might be slightly vulnerable to predators. And so they would like to stick in a group where there's more eyes and ears, better chances of seeing the potential threat coming, and so they can hopefully save each other. See, there's one or two smaller ones there, so that's from last season's breeding season. Those little ones with the short horns are almost about 7 or 8 months now. But it looks like they're all walking in one direction, and it's probably down towards a nice big waterhole, I would say. And so they're going to go and have something to drink very soon.
Our elephant bull unfortunately disappeared into the thicket. He said hello and then he disappeared. So we came to Ruatela Dam, where, well, you have a chance of seeing anything drinking, but not this guy. This monitor lizard is sunbathing in what I can only describe as a very comfortable looking position. I mean, if I was a reptile, that's exactly where I would be and what I would be doing. There are two. There's another one there, but we don't have a good view of the other one. Just this one, who looks unbelievably comfortable in the fork of the tree. Very alert though, probably a little bit too hot. They move in and out of the sun. When they get too hot, they go into the shade. When they get too cool, they pop out again into the sun. This safari just keeps on getting better. From a male elephant, we've came across a large water monitor lizard, a formidable predator at the waterhole. The waterhole is a perfect place to be on a day like today. And if you do want to send through any questions, this is a live safari. We will be able to answer them for you. There's two water monitor lizards there. Not entirely sure they're friends. Water monitor lizards can be very, very territorial. We get two different monitor lizards out here, water and rock. Shelley, you're asking, are all reptiles solitary? Mostly, yes. All the reptiles that we get in this area, from snakes to crocodiles, lizards, geckos, terrapins, tortoises, they are all solitary. You will only see more than one individual together, most likely when they're mating. Sometimes you can see the water monitor lizards mating. It's a very interesting thing to watch. So I think we're going to stay at this waterhole a little bit longer to see if anyone comes to have a drink. But for now, you guys are going to go back across to James.
Look at this magnificent bird. This is the little bee eater. And it's hoping to catch bees and flies and any other kind of insect that leaps off the tree or that flies in front of the tree in which it's sitting. Now, the best part of these things, if you like taking films or photographs, is that they jump up from where they're flying, hawk an insect out of the air, and then often land back where they took off from. So you can get some really nice pictures if that's what you like to do. So by hawking, I mean that he catches insects in the air, as opposed to something like a lilac-breasted roller, which will fly down and catch an insect off the ground most of the time. The bee eaters are like little fighter jets, designed to maneuver very quickly in the air and catch insects that are trying to fly away from them. I'm going to be very quiet, and you might just be able to hear him calling quietly. He's going tip, 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 tip. Although I suspect all you can hear right now is this northwest breeze that's blowing. Yes, jackal, the bee eaters are beautiful colours. We get 4 species here. This one and the white-fronted bee eater we could see all year round. And then we get the carmine, sometimes. He's going to go back to the same perch. There we go. Beautiful, so he caught himself something. And then the European bee eater, which we don't find here at any time other than the middle of summer. But this guy is the most common, and he's the chap who's most often seen here in little flocks, especially in winter. you hear that call? Quack! That call was a Bateleur eagle. Let's carry on and we'll see if we can find those elephants again.
Good afternoon, everyone. This is Tumi from and Beyond Pinda Private Game Reserve. Marcel is right behind the camera. He's the one. He's doing all this happen. I'm not alone. Okay, guys, we've been planning to find our cheetah this afternoon. Luckily, we come across this is a cheetah with 2 cubs. As you can see, they're lying down nice and flat, which is it's quite windy here as well. If you look at the belly quite carefully, you can see they might be had something maybe like early this morning. So now they're just resting for now. We'll see what's going to happen because they look like they might get up and move anytime, but difficult to tell exactly. But as you can see, the little one is just lying flat, as you can see. Wow. Let's see what's going to happen. We'll just sit them and see what's going to happen. Enjoy with us, guys. This is a lovely afternoon. Good start. Okay, guys. While we're just waiting to see what's going to happen, we'll send you across to Jura. Enjoy the guys. We'll see you soon.
So while we've been sitting here, a number of other giraffe came down and drank, and they slowly started moving off, except that one big bull, he actually started feeding. The tree that he's feeding on is quite an interesting one. It's called a buffalo thorn. It's very, very common across much of southern Africa, and a very, very important fodder plant for many species. Ironically, or not ironically, it's just humorously, about 40 minutes ago, an hour ago, we had a herd of buffalo that had actually come out and waded right into the water and then filtered off through these bushes. And these trees get their name from the Cape buffalo, African buffalo. It often forms these super dense thickets, very, very good for animals to get in underneath into the shade. There's actually a buffalo there on the right. It's coming in on the right. There's one that's just approached the waterhole now from the right-hand side. Oh, wow. They say speak of the devil and you'll step on his tail. There we go. Sheesh. You are my man. How was that timing? Sheila, I can't agree with you more. You are spot on. Sheila's just said she's so pleased that more people can get to experience these kind of things. I'm exactly for that. The more people that can be exposed to this kind of thing and experience it, the better. And even if it is remotely, you know, it's this is what it's about, eh? We are incredibly privileged to be able to be here on the ground, but at the same time, it's very, very important that we share these kind of things with others.
And now you're live with us from another location, just in the greater Kruger National Park. We're at the Pridelands, which is where one of the eco-training camps is situated in Baluli Game Reserve. But, of course, you're looking at elephants, and elephants is an animal that is very easy to find out here in this particular area, and that makes me quite happy. My name is TAYLA McCurdy, and on camera with me today is Gert, and like I said, we're sitting here in part of the greater Kruger, surrounded by grey elephants, which is... well, I suppose maybe they're not grey, they're more brown, seeing as though they've been swimming in the dam right outside a camp. But it's just the bulls that I can see for now. I think that the breeding herd of elephants might just be up ahead, which is, I suppose, quite typical for elephants, as the bulls normally just linger at the back. And when they get to, I suppose, late teens, there's no need for them to be in the herds anymore, and they move on off to go and do their own thing, just as these elephants are doing. But they're feeding. which is very typical of elephants. And I think that's why so many people love to watch them, is because whenever you see them, they are always doing something. And it's quite spectacular to watch them now, because the way that they feed is quite dramatic. So we'll stick with the herd, and hopefully we will see them maybe pushing over some trees or stripping some bark away. But right now they're just plucking, looks like some grevia twigs, and munching on them. But they do look a bit strange. You probably saw the different colorations on each elephant. Some have got red dust on them, some are covered in mud, and during the heat of the day, elephants love to swim. And there's a big dam just a little bit to the east from where they are now. It would have been amazing if we could have caught them swimming. But that's not the only herd of elephants that we get to see. So we will swing past Ndlovu Dam and see if we can't find another herd that want to cool off in the hot African sun. You can see all the mud on his back now. They might go back, who knows? There's quite a big bachelor herd, a group of males that spend a fair amount of time with one another, and they enjoy pushing each other around. Oh, there he is, just feeding on some not so delicious grass. But unfortunately, when you're living out here, you kind of just gotta eat what you can. Right, let's see what these elephants get up to, and hopefully we can find the rest of the herd.
We are still sitting with our elephants. I'm not very happy at the moment. I think they're okay, but they're not that delighted with us. So we'll just wait and see what they do here. If they disappear down into this gully in front of us, I suspect that is where we shall leave them. And then we'll go and see what else the Lowveld has to offer us on this very fine winter's day, where the temperature is roughly 26 degrees Celsius, which is pretty warm for midwinter, I must say. I'm not complaining though. It's very pleasant. So they're just grazing quietly along, browsing quite a lot now as winter comes. Just shift very slightly forward, make life a little bit easier for BK on camera. That's the big matriarch over there. We've got the matriarch here of the herd. She is the biggest cow. She's definitely the oldest cow that there is here. And I think that the herd is probably going to head down into this gully, where it's a bit cooler than it is out here in the open, eating as they go. And what they'll do is they'll focus on the sides of these gully areas, because the vegetation is just a bit greener there as we go into the dry season. She's eating a bush called a silver cluster leaf, and you can see that she's not the first elephant to have had a go at that silver cluster leaf. And normally I think what they eat is the bark. So if you watch what she's doing now, you'll see that the stick is coming out of her mouth without any of the bark on it. Isn't that brilliant? So she's eating the bark of that stick, and I think she'll probably drop the leaves. HB, yes, definitely weather affects the moods of most animals out here. I think that the most noticeable effect is when it's windy and cloudy, and most animals then seem to become quite nervous, quite on edge, because they can't smell or hear if predators are coming. It's much easier on a day like today to hear if something's amiss or smell something if, say, a predator's upwind or if there's a carcass upwind or something like that. I think if they're really hot and there's no water, then they can become very stressed and irritable, especially in the case of elephants. So yes, weather does affect them. Much the same as it does us. You know how irritable you get when it's really hot, or in fact probably quite irritable when it's very cold, maybe even slightly depressed when it's very cold. I don't know if elephants get depressed when it's cold. Probably not. So I'll contemplate these things and probably now head off towards the east and see what else we can find.
So, just a moment ago we said that we'd probably see the elephants feeding quite dramatically, and look at what we've got. This elephant, this young bull, has now completely uprooted a tree. Look at how powerful that creature is. So James had an elephant that was eating a silver cluster leaf tree. We don't have too many of them in this area, although I wouldn't want to eat that. They don't taste very nice. But at this time of the year, it is tricky for the elephants to feed on their favorite thing, which is either fruit and grass and, of course, leaves. But in the winter months, as you can see, this elephant and all the other elephants start to feed below the surface of the earth. And that involves them uprooting trees and feeding on their tasty roots. Now, they've got a lot of water in them and lots of nutrients, and probably a bit more nutrition than eating the dead and dying grass that is around them. So we do start to see them pushing over even trees 10 times the size of this one. But you can see how it's using its legs now. You can see it's using its feet to actually dig and help pull out some of those roots. So it's amazing. They're like gardeners, elephants. They're equipped for it. Now, Nonette, we're quite lucky to see this particular herd of elephants. I have found the rest of the breeding herd, but we'll see them in a minute. And we see them on a regular basis, almost every single day. So these elis aren't moving very far. But if they were traveling in an area where they needed to find some kind of water, or they're traveling to new feeding grounds, it wouldn't surprise me if they could reach distances of 50 kilometers in one day. But that is some serious moving and some solid walking. We probably wouldn't see movements like that in South Africa, just because there is so much food around. But if you go into places like Namibia, where it's slightly more arid, then you'll find that the elephants move further and further in order to try and find the food and water that they need. Remember, these are really large animals, and they need to eat at least 5% of their body weight every single day. They're probably not eating that much in winter, just again because they have to spend so much time uprooting trees, or to get to the roots, or stripping the bark off of the trunk of a tree. And this takes a little bit of time, rather than just walking and grabbing trunkfuls of nice fresh grass or succulent leaves off of trees. There's not much fruit around for them to feed on either, which is why they have to feed on all this other stuff. But they don't do it all year round. This is normally, like what I said, we see in the winter months, in the Lowveld and the sort of drier seasons up this side of South Africa. It's quite amazing, though, that they're able to use their trunks so delicately and pick and choose what they want to eat. But off you go across all the way to the far east to Phinda Private Game Reserve to see some wonderful cheetah.
Welcome back again. We are live in Phinda and beyond. We are watching this cheetah, as you can see. As you can see, this cheetah now, it looks like they've been already fed something. Like example, like 2-3 days, they'll be still okay without worrying about hunting, unless because she's had the young cubs now. Those cubs, they get hungry quite quickly. Maybe another 2 days, they'll be still looking for something to catch, because she need to feed these cubs because they're still young. Otherwise, generally when they're like all by themselves, 2-3 days, they're not really worrying about catching anything. So, like example, talking about hunting something like a impala, anything smaller than impala, they'll go for it. So that's what the main source of the bush. Look, hey. Shandy, they, if you look at them, the way they looks like now, when they were born, they will look completely different what we see now. They like more black under, more white at the back. It's just like for camouflage from the bush, but also what you have to know, Sanjay, this is for in a nation, there's a on protection from the other predators or other bird prey. They looks like more honey badgers. As you know, honey badger is a very vicious creature. So anyone who don't want to come closer to the honey badgers. That's why they look more fluffy. As they grow up, they're gonna lose this fluffy and come look more like normal, like as the mom. Sanji. Okay, so guys, because at the moment we're still gonna stay here with this cheetah, enjoying, but I hope we'll see you again. We're gonna send you across to with the elephant. Enjoy the elephant sighting. They must be doing something.
I feel like this is where we're going to stay for the rest of the afternoon, and I'm sure you're all enjoying the different animals that we have live from the different locations around South Africa. So this is a female elephant, so we were just looking at a bull with me, just on the outskirts, so we've moved up a little bit, not too far, and we've found a cow. She was actually tearing into a knobthorn, that tree just to the right of you, but she has now stopped doing that, and she is feeding on something else. Can maybe even hear the rest of the elephants around us. There's actually quite a few of them, and they're all picking up and shoving trees around and snapping branches. If they come any closer, I'll maybe just pause for a minute and let you all listen to the wonderful sounds that you do get to hear when you're around elephants. So this elephant that we're looking at now, no, it's not the greatest view, but that's the matriarch of this herd. There we go. Look how powerful she is. Just picking that up and moving it right out of the way. And what she's doing is that she's not doing the same thing that the other elephant was by uprooting it. She's actually just simply moving that fallen tree out of the way so she can feed on the vegetation that's underneath it. There's not much green grass left. You'll be lucky to find a green blade of grass even hiding under a fallen shrub. But she's feeding on, again, one of the raisin trees. There's one of the few sort of shrubs at the moment that has got nice leaves on it, and they tend to enjoy that a fair amount. There you go. Look at that. Just with her trunk, she flings it as if that branch is as light as a feather. And trust me, it's not. Oh, there she is, just back there. You can also see how worn her tusks are from digging in the bark of trees and trying to get to those roots. And then I suppose also digging around in the mud that they'll use to cover on themselves. Isn't this just lovely? Well, the herd is moving out to a road, so soon we should get a view of a little calf or two.
We've made it all the way down to Chitwa Dam, the largest water body we have around here, and there's quite an unusual sight in front of us. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 adult hippos out the water, and there's a youngster out the water too. We don't have the most perfect view of the youngster yet, but we will roll forward in just a little bit. If they get a fright, if they hear a vehicle, they do run and belly flop into the water. Isn't it wonderful to see them out the water like that? You can see just how large they are. You don't really get these views when they're submerged in the water. You can see they're filled with ox pickers hitchhiking a ride. We have some different large grey mammals for you. Hippos. 4 of them to be exact. How exciting. Now don't forget everyone, you must send us questions. This is your live safari, so use that hashtag WildEarth. We really want to hear from you. Now I'm going to try and roll forward a little bit because there's a youngster. There's a juvenile calf here. I don't want to turn on my engine, so this might be a bit slow. Don't want to give them a fright. They can actually be quite skittish and they'll run and belly flop into the water. It's not elegant. But there's a really young calf here standing behind his mum. See?
Yep.
Sophie, you're asking, does it get cold enough for any animals to hibernate? Hibernate? No. Hibernation is a term. Hibernation is a term used for mammals, but we do have many different types of animals that do sort of go into a state of torpor, a state of rest, where they reduce their metabolic activity. Reptiles are a great example. When it gets too cold, snakes, they will go down in burrows, moist, damp burrows, where it's dark and they're safe. They can reduce their metabolic activity, and this is called brumation. So it's not quite hibernation, but it's brumation. And they can wake themselves up from it at any moment if they need to go and hydrate and get some water. So animals do go into a state of rest. Amphibians, frogs, they estivate, which is again a state of reduced metabolic activity. They're all slowly going back into the water. But hibernation, no. None of the mammals here hibernate. You can see that youngster just in front of mum there. It's so young. MK, you're asking, are hippos and elephants in the same family? And no, they are not, believe it or not. Although they sort of are both large and both grey, they're not related. The hippo is the 3rd largest land mammal after the elephant and the white rhino that we get out here, but they're not closely related at all. Believe it or not, a hippo's closest living relative are whales and porpoises. They have aquatic relatives. The closest relative of an elephant is a rock hyrax. Yes, if any of you don't know what... Oh, hello impala. Photobombing impala. If any of you are not sure what a hyrax is, it's a very, very small furry mammal. Google it, you'll be surprised. So they're not related at all. And hippos are said to be truly amphibious. The only ungulate that's amphibious because they rely on the water. They can't live without water. So we're going to stay here. This is such a fantastic sighting. But from my large grey mammal, we're going to send you across to TAYLA with her large grey mammals.
that have almost disappeared into the bushes, don't you think? It's funny how the largest land mammal can blend into the vegetation so well. They're just standing behind some African wattles, which are those bright green trees. But I wanted to quickly show you the knobthorn tree that I was telling you about and how they have stripped the bark off of this tree. So you can see how the grey is obviously disrupted by that bright red color. Now, that's called the cambium layer, and that's a very important part for the tree because it is responsible for the transport of all the nutrients from the roots through the trunk of the tree and then up to the tops of the leaves. Now, it's okay for the moment. They haven't completely ring-barked the tree, so stripped all the outer bark away from this knobthorn, so it should survive. It should start to repair itself. But at this time of the year, the trees really do have a lot of damage done to them, which can be quite problematic. And I'm sure as we go along, we will see some elephants actually stripping the bark away. It's really impressive to watch it. Sandy, at some point, yes, elephants were found everywhere in South Africa, but unfortunately, as we as humans, you know, species on this earth too, have come to expand, a lot of the natural wilderness areas aren't around anymore. So yes, elephants were roaming throughout the whole of Africa, in fact, but so now we have to protect them, and they're only in these specific parts in the country. Obviously, the area that we're in now, and Ngala, and so is Djuma, is of the Greater Kruger, and that's like 4.5 million hectares that those animals, or these animals, can all move around in. And then, of course, where Dylan is in Tswalu, that's pretty incredible, huge, massive private wilderness area. And then Pinder is another area. But there's spots all over the country where you can see wildlife. But there are very few areas where they can roam around like this. And even go into different countries. I mean, some of the elephants up in the Greater Kruger can cross the Limpopo River and go across into Zimbabwe. I think we're going to head down towards Ndlovu Dam and see if there are elephants splashing about, but back across to the east you go.
Welcome back again, guys. As you can see, we're still sitting here with the beautiful cheetahs. As you can see, they look like the young one a bit more, a little bit lazy because the bellies are full. So the mom's just checking because there's a lot of wind blowing around, disturbing them a little bit. So we'll just sit here and wait and see what's going to end because it's still a lovely day. Yes, it's a bit more windy, but it might be anything can happen. Never say never into this bush. Look how beautiful the face. She's wow, David, it's awesome. Look at that. The other cub's just lying flat. Okay, guys, well, we'll just hang around with this cheetah, and we'll send you across to Roland to Djuma. Enjoy the guys.
The cheetah are not the only ones taking it easy. The hippos have gone into the water and they're completely relaxing. Oh, there's the young one there. Oh no, it's gone under again. There's actually lots of calves in this dam, not just one. And hippos can't breathe underwater. They're holding their breaths. So they take a big gulp of air, go under, and they can actually stay under anywhere between 5 to 6 minutes. The youngsters can't do that though. A calf can probably only stay under about 1 minute. They've got to practice. I can hear a go away bird telling us to go away, go away. seriously jealous of these hippos. Wish I could just jump in the water. It looks nice and cool. They're protecting their skin. Oh, this one's roly-poling. Roly-poly. I don't quite know what it's doing, but it's turning over on its back. And of course they've gone under. You would never believe that there's a large grey mammal under the water like that. You can hear them all. That's the hippos. The noise of a hippo is an iconic noise of the bush out here. I love it. I'm hoping that they're going to do it for you soon. So we're going to sit tight here, see what else we can find, but hopefully send for your questions and we'll be with you very shortly. The hippos are running into the water. That's the belly flop we're talking about. Oh, looks like so much fun. We're just going to go to the other side of Chitwa to get a closer look, because sometimes you can see all sorts of animals along the way. The croc is out. He's too hot. He's got his mouth wide open. Let's say hi to the croc. Okay. Mr. Crocodile. In his usual spot. He doesn't go too far, this one. But by opening the mouth, he can cool down through evaporative cooling, because his mouth is moist and therefore... Okay, Mr. Egyptian Geese, we hear you. From hippos to crocodiles. We're still at the same dam. We just drove a little bit further on and we came across this magnificent crocodile. Look at him. Or her. It's actually very difficult to tell if it's a male or female. So I hope you sent through some questions using that hashtag WildEarth. We're still at the dam. There's still hippos all around. I'm sure you'll hear them very soon. That's not the hippo. That's the Egyptian geese. Yes, they're very noisy. They want some airtime. Hello. Now for the crocodile, we've been talking about reptiles. He's got his mouth wide open right now to try and lose heat, to get rid of heat. He's too hot. He's basking, but he's also too hot. Can do hippos and crocs get along? Not really, no. They're not the best of friends, but they also avoid one another. They need the same habitat. They both need this large water body, Chitwa Dam. They both live in it and they both require it in order to survive, and therefore it's in their best interest to just live in harmony alongside one another. So there has been clashes. Sometimes a hippo has, been recorded to attack a croc and vice versa. But generally speaking, they avoid one another because they're not competitors. Hippos are herbivores. They come out of the water at night and they eat the vegetation. They forage in the vegetation. And crocs, they mainly feed on fish. They're carnivores. So from my noisy birds at the dam, I believe James has another beautiful bird for you.
No, it is not making any noise at all, but it's a very interesting bird. This is a Battalier eagle. And remember at the very beginning I said that we could hear a Battalier eagle. It was going caw. It sounded like a flying baboon. And what it's doing is it's eating something inside this nest. This is not its home. This originally was the home of some African hawk eagles. And about 3 weeks ago, we saw a giant eagle owl that had taken up residence there. Now, what I think's happened is that the Battalier has come in here and it's found either a chick or an unattended egg inside there. And I think that he's eating that egg or unattended chick. There's a lot of liquid coming off his beak. I know that the colours in the picture are a bit silhouetted, but that's because the sun is right behind him. So very interesting. The Battalier is a scavenger and a hunter. And as with just about all the birds out here that eat meat or other kinds of animal products, they'll take any opportunity they can to eat. So although they'll specialize in one particular kind of food, they'll normally eat different kinds of meat or animal products. So, a meat eater will eat eggs or insects, even though they might not be a speciality. Oh, hi, Bacon, you say shame on this bird. Not at all, oh, hi, Bacon. This is how this bird makes a living. This is how it survives. And ye oldie saying, for something to live, something else must die, is very true out here in the wilderness. It can be a fairly brutal place. Now, the animals you're going to see now are not normally particularly brutal, but they've just finished their sort of time of brutality, if you like.
They absolutely are. I mean, these being one of the most abundant antelopes, these impalas, they tend to get caught by quite a lot of predators. So they absolutely do, or they're used to being killed, I guess. There's so many different predators that will target them at different times of year. And the whole herd of impalas have decided to follow one or two individuals that started crossing back and around, and they're starting to run behind us for no other reason than just to try a different area, I think. And this is probably the place that they would have settled down in for the majority of the day. And it's really good signs that they're out and about now and starting to move around. So if these impalas are starting to move around a little bit more, there's a good chance that more of the animals are going to be moving soon too. And quite like the wildebeest we saw a little bit earlier on, they don't really want to be isolated. And so they'll try and keep up with one another. So as soon as one starts to run, you'll probably see a few of them will see each other running, and they'll all just try and gather in a nice big group. And so as these impalas are running past us, I think Owen and I are going to carry on going for a little bit longer and see if we can find anything other interesting animals. We'll go and send you across to Lauren, who's got a nice big crocodile.
Our reptile has not moved a muscle. I promise you all it's real. It's not a statue. This croc is real, and we actually have one last reptile to show you in the form of a terrapin, who is also not moving very much, but I promise you, it's real. Clinging onto the embankment here, also trying to get some sun, with that protective armor of a shell. And due to the nature, the way reptiles survive out here, they require the sun to be solar powered. And this actually prevents them from migrating. You won't really find any reptiles migrating in the way that mammals and birds do. But interestingly, the sort of reptile that comes close to migrating are the sea turtles. So although we don't get them out here, the leatherback turtle actually moves thousands and thousands of kilometers per year. But other than the sea turtles, reptiles don't generally move, and that's because they really can't. This crocodile's not moving at all. He's just basking, sunbathing, storing up his energy for whatever is in store later on. But he's ended up getting far too hot and is trying to cool down. I would suggest going in the water, but he seems to be quite happy exactly where he is. The terrapin, on the other hand, has dived into the water. James, you're saying it's been great having a wider audience today. Absolutely, I agree. And you're suggesting that you can join us on YouTube. You can. Once this drive has wrapped, we'll be continuing our safari for 2 more hours on YouTube. You can just search Wild Earth and we will be there, still driving around doing our best to find animals. It's been such a wonderful welcome back to SABC, filled with lots of different animals. Oh, this Egyptian goose is going very close to the crocodile. Oh, the crocodile's closed its mouth. I would be careful, goose. Thank you everyone for jumping on board. All your comments and questions, please do join us again tomorrow. Same. Welcome back to what we will call the normal regular show with the normal people. But are you normal? Possibly not. No one really is. But my name is Lauren. I do have Davi on camera, and I hope you all enjoyed the first hour of the show. We had such a magical time here at Chitwa Dam. Really, it's so worth coming down to these days. From the crocs to the hippos to the birds and all the antelope we haven't even got around to yet. Yes, these Egyptian goose are not happy. So it's great to have you with us for another 2 hours. And as you all should know, we're live and interactive. So that means you must talk to us. If you don't, we won't be very interactive. So send in your comments and your questions using the hashtag WildEarth on Twitter or at FC on YouTube, or kids, email your questions. kidsquestions@wildearth.tv. So I think I'm going to stay around Chitwa for a little bit longer because it's been so magical. But you guys, come back across to say good afternoon to James.
Hello everybody. Our bird's now flown away, unfortunately. It had a birthday, got married, kids, they all died of old age and off it flew. I'm just quickly going back here because I'm getting told that there are tracks of Tundi in this area. Just quickly, I am obviously on the eastern boundary. Vernon, I've just checked Central, I didn't see any tracks there. I'm just giving an update to one of the landowners. I'll drive down to Mumba and have a look around there. There were tracks apparently on Central earlier today, but I didn't see them. Sorry, I'm just listening to the radio. Okay, copy. Yeah, I'll keep you posted this end. Apparently somebody said that Thandi had crossed, but I can't see any tracks of a leopard crossing here. Anyway, so it is. We'll keep on trying. The thing that is nice about the fact that we have Thandi's tracks in and around this area is that we've got at least some evidence that she's staying quite local. It means cub is probably fine, even though we haven't seen cub for a long time. Alright, let's go over to TAYLA and some elephants.
So it's not just elephants, because there's something that I want to show you on this elephant in particular. So we're with Alicia Keys's herd, and I cannot believe I haven't noticed this before. So there's a young bull doing what an elephant bull does, normally, just tailing behind the herd. And we noticed him at Ndlovu Dam, probably about an hour after morning drive, and this elephant was just drinking strangely, and he's got a damaged trunk. I don't think it's from a snare. I'm hoping he'll pick it up so that you can see. But it's basically like he's had a big chunk of flesh torn away from the underside of his trunk, and it's like his nasal cavities are exposed. And it's the most bizarre thing. So he doesn't drink from the end of his trunk where they normally would, where the little fingertips are, but actually from this little side piece. Kat, if you stay like that, I'm wondering if I go forward a little bit more. Sorry, everyone, it's going to be a bit shaky. Oh, no, I can roll. No, I'm not going to sing that song. Almost. Hang on. Another car won't start. Oh, those branches are just in the way, hey? Sorry, we're just trying to get a view of this elephant's trunk. He was just standing out on the road, but of course he's gone and hidden away. Lift your head up, elephant. Pretty please. Could you... And it's not a new injury either. It's healed, and I haven't got the faintest idea what could have caused something like that. You'll see what I mean when he does show it. But of course, there honestly couldn't be any more branches now in front of his face. There we go. When he lifts his trunk up, you can kind of see it. I don't know if you saw it, like how it flops to the side. Let's see if we can do that again. He has to put something in his mouth. So he has full use of it, though. Obviously, he can pick things up and, pull leaves off. That it doesn't seem to have inhibited his feeding habits. Okay, it looks like he's looking for something. The next moment should be into the mouth. There we go. Ah, no, you just can't see it. Oh, okay, we'll have a look at that at the moment. I wonder if this elephant is able to strip bark off the tree with such a damaged trunk. Be interesting to see. So Victoria, they do eat the bark, but they don't eat the outer, I suppose they don't eat the outer layer of the bark. So the hard, tough stuff that you see that protects the tree is that they strip it sort of for the cambium layer, which we will see on lots of trees around here. And that's actually a lot more palatable, and it's quite soft. I reckon I could probably chew on a small piece and then swallow it. I won't, though, but it's not tough like the outside of the bark. The outer layer of the bark also doesn't have any nutrients in it. It's there to protect the tree. There we go. You can see its trunk. You see how weird it is? So that it almost looks like, oh, you can't see it clearly, though. I should have taken a photo when it was out in the open, but it's so interesting. I almost want to draw a picture to show you what I mean. I'm going to do that while you look at the elephant. Yes, and that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to get my crayons out, and I'm going to draw a picture of what this elephant's trunk looks like. Off you go. I'm assuming Dumi still has the cheetah.
Welcome back, guys. As you can see, the cheetah's still right here, and if you look far distance, you could see a white rhino walking up past there. He has got no idea there's some cheetah around, but also cheetah have no idea. He's busy doing his business there. Looks like he must be following up some female around there. He's busy marking his territory, so he just walked past. Look, the cheetah just could stood up as well. Maybe she picked up a scent of him, but looks like there's a lot of wind as well. Massive wind is coming along. Actually, that's why cheetah just stood up as well. As you can see, looking around. They might be picking up a scent of that rhino. Maybe heard him passing by, but he doesn't have any idea that there are some cheetah around. It would be interesting if he come around, but yeah, he just walked past. So I didn't get quite the windy.
Do cheetah have a fast metabolism?
Justin?
Do cheetah have...
Yeah, dove, yeah, they're very, very soft, yeah. They are very soft because they eat meat, they need it anyway, so that's very soft dove, the right question. Yeah, it looks like it might be. Okay, guys, we'll wait to see what's happening around now. But we'll send you across back to TAYLA with that spider. Enjoy there, guys. See you soon. The windy.
We found, well, I didn't do anything, Chad found it. The cutest of the spiders, a little Salticidae. I'm not sure which one it is. It doesn't look like a zebra jumping spider, but I love the little dramatic stripes that it has going across its eyes, and it's very hairy. Now, it's been in the vehicle. It's actually been climbing all over Chat and catching the little Mapani bees. So I was going to relocate it, and I thought, you know, we love these little creatures so much, we might as well just have a quick view. Isn't that gorgeous? And if you look in the rest of my hand, you'll actually see that there is a Mapani bee. I didn't mean to disturb it. We were just trying to catch it and then, like I said, relocate it. But it was holding a little Mapani bee or a stingless bee in its chelicerae. Sorry, but I'm sure you can catch them all. It seems like it's had a web in this car for quite some time. But you cannot live here forever, spider. I'm going to do my trick. Jump. Jump, spider. This normally works so well. Jump. They're not voice activated. Yay! I love it when they do that. That's my favorite thing in the whole wide world. It worked. Look at those little eyes looking up at you. Now, they're very active spiders. They will move around quite a bit looking for things to eat. You can see it's looking for a next place to go. But you want to jump some more? So, very, very agile, very quick. There we go. Here's another one. Here's another place for you to jump. Jump. That is all. They are so funny. Jump here. This is not a trained jumping spider, I'm afraid. I've had some much better candidates. But they do have a little bit of a web. You could probably see some of the silk catching the sunlight. But they're just sort of safety strands. And then when they make their little nests in the sort of grass or a blade of grass or on the stem of grass and the inflorescence sometimes, or in a leaf, they sort of like draw the leaf around to make like a tiny little silken pouch. Where are you going? But it's quite a big spider though. It's cute. I've seen bigger. The zebra spiders are probably my favorite. Come, you were very nervous. Yes, well done. Come onto my hand. But quite precious. I don't know if I've seen this species before. It's quite difficult. And in my spider book that I have, it's not quite as sophisticated as I'd like it. So I'm not even sure which genus this falls in. And I'm glad they don't bite. That's for sure. Look how hairy it is, though. Nora, don't worry. It won't jump onto the camera lens. But this is cute though, Nora, you can't be scared. So there's actually a student that's currently with eco training, and she's terrified. I've never met someone that is so petrified of spiders other than my dad. But like, so proper arachnophobia. And she slowly got over her phobia, which is really amazing. And I mean, like, tears would flow straight out of her eyes if she saw one. It didn't matter how big or small it was, or even if she felt anything on her, she really did panic. So it's been quite amazing to see, obviously coming out of the summer months where we had park spiders everywhere, those green pea spiders, and golden orbs and garden orbs everywhere. And one of the things as a safari guide is you can't be petrified of everything. So she really was working hard on trying to overcome her fears. And she started with the jumping spider. And because they are cute and they're harmless, and you know, they're not really scary looking. So if you are terrified, I highly recommend starting with a Saltissy Day spider. It's the way to go. And if you are still unsure, then you need to watch the cartoon Lucas on YouTube. You could probably find that. Ah, there we go. Right, I'm going to release this little spider back into the wilderness where it can continue devouring the population of stingless bees, or if you go back across to Lauren to see what she's up to.
We actually had a jumping spider with us as well a little bit earlier, but, well, it's not with us anymore. They jumped away, I think. Now, we have left Chitwa, as wonderful as it was. Oh, hello, Impala. All males. Fascinating. All ages. Look at their horns. Everybody's friends again. Isn't it just wonderful? But we've left Chitwa because hyenas are my main focus today. I got really lucky with a brief glimpse of Kuchava and cub this morning, and it was very brief, everyone. Worth it though. And I need to figure out what's going on with the hyenas. The cubs are in that den. And slightly worryingly so, we've visited the den a handful of times and the cubs are out, but there's no adults. And unfortunately, they don't listen to me when I tell them to go back inside. Yes, they're rather stubborn. They won't have it. So I think I need to stay local and just keep circling back to the den without disturbing, just to see if any adults do arrive. I think the reason the adults are not there is because, well, they're on kills. They're waiting at the base of a tree. James found Kaikau this morning on an impala carcass. And I just think the hyenas are off on their own little mission. So that's why I've left the dam for now, as wonderful as it was.
Vernon, come in.
Oh, that's James. The young boys just staying with the older boys. A nice big bachelor herd here. Testosterone levels have decreased. Everybody's calm. So as I bumble towards the hyena den, we are going to send you guys back across to those spotted cats.
Welcome back again, guys. We are still around. We're still waiting with this cheetah. As you can see, how beautiful they are. Can't leave them so easily. They're so cute. If you look at these little cubs, they're beautiful, beautiful faces. We are just enjoying ourselves to just watch this cheetah around here. To look around, as you can see, a lot of trees are blowing. There's just a lot of wind. That's the only thing. We're still lucky to be able to see them. I hope they're going to be here for a little while. I don't think they're going to go anywhere. But we'll hang around to see what's going to end. Because never say never. Lamb, they can cover long distance if they really need to hunt. But as you can see, these cheetahs' bellies look much full. So they won't be worrying about going for hunting unless it's something disturbing them here. They can cover long, easily 2 to 3, 4 kilometers away if something disturbing like overnight, but otherwise they won't be worrying about looking for land. Yeah, very windy here today. So looks like the weather also changing quite a bit. So we're not sure it's gonna end up happening. But let's hope it's gonna stay a little bit better. It's gonna come better than this tomorrow morning. Yeah, if you look at these two cubs, one is a bit more dark face comparing to the other one. And that female also, she's more light color comparing this cheetah we saw this morning. She was more dark, which is like also depending from the genetics. Someone was watching this morning, they must be, remember that they look totally different coloration.
We have got some impalas here. I heard of very peaceable impalas. Males and females living in harmony. In fact, I think there are only males here. No, there are a few females as well. All the anger and angst and rage and testosterone-fueled competition of the rut has dissipated. And now the impalas greet each other with fondness. Looking out for one another. Although they're not doing a particularly good job, given the fact that we did find one being devoured by a hyena earlier this morning. But the sheer weight of numbers suggests that impala are going to be on the menu fairly frequently. This is very pretty. They're all coming out. Here, Kaylin, best part of South Africa to visit animals in winter is definitely here. The weather is pleasant. It's cool in the mornings. It's not cold for anybody who knows what winter actually is. And it's beautiful in the middle of the day. The leaves are starting to come off the trees. The animals are starting to concentrate around the water. So definitely this part of the world is the best in winter. If you're quite brave and you can stomach the cold and put up with it, Kalahari is going to be pretty good, because again, waterholes are going to be fairly predictable places for animals to gather, but it's very cold there. I mean, it's certainly not unbearably cold. The weather's just better here at this time of year. Again, when a South African says it's cold, you must take that with a pinch of salt if you happen to be from the Northern Hemisphere. There are also windless days here in winter. You know, it doesn't blow like it can on the coastlines. It can up in the Kalahari sometimes as well. And again, I'm not trying to diss the Kalahari in the slightest, all our coastal areas. It's just if I was to pick an area to come in winter, it would be here. In summer, I'd probably head down more to the coastal spots, Can be very hot, but you get cooling sea breezes. This is purely weather-wise, by the way. And then maybe in the autumn, so March, April, May, probably the Kalahari sort of area, because it's not quite as hot and animals always concentrating around the water holes there. So beautiful place to see animals quite easily. But again, the margins between these places are so small.
Wild Earth relies on support from viewers like you to carry on broadcasting our daily live shows. A small donation goes a long way in helping us on our mission to connect the world with nature. Please visit our support page to see how you can help and become part of the Wild Earth family.
Okay, so we're still with the elephant. And as I say that there's a bee that's now flying around me, please don't sting me. So watch when it does lift its trunk up again. We managed to get a much better view. You'll be able to see what I'm talking about, how the right hand side of the trunk on the underside has been almost like torn away at some point, and it's no longer there. So the front of the trunk is still around, but there's a huge gap between the sort of back fingertip and the on the right hand side and the front fingertip. You'll see what I'm trying to describe in a minute. Elephant, please cooperate. We've been waiting so patiently. And it's still using its trunk. It's been picking up stumps and roots that he hasn't. How it was drinking too. Come on, elephant, put something in your mouth. That's all you do. You just eat all day. There we go. There's the char. Give up. I actually up with this elephant. It is really just not being helpful today. Okay, well, I'll just show you my picture instead, because it's basically like looking at the real thing. So, don't laugh. I'm only allowed to laugh at myself. So there's like a normal elephant, obviously. It's of elvish heritage, as you can see from its ears. So it's the trunk. But what I'm trying to sort of tell you about, this is like the underside of the trunk, if you can think of it like that. And this section of the trunk here is missing. So the front side, there's still flesh going down. And then it's still got the fingertip. So this is the back fingertip, and then that's the front one over there. Obviously, you can see that quite easily from the picture. But this whole section here is missing. And it's really funny. So it slurps up water, and obviously as it lifts its trunk up, a fair amount of water drops out. But it puts its mouth over this hole. And you can even see the nasal cavities, both of them, in fact, when it turns its trunk sort of, if you're watching it from behind as it's drinking. And it was so fascinating. So it just puts its mouth over here and then sucks the water out like that. And then, but it's still using its fingertips. It's still got full function, and it's able to, I was watching it now, they're able to pick branches and things up. It's fascinating. Yes, I did. I wrote other side. If it was a cow, it would be a funny joke, but it's a young bull, I'm afraid. So anyways, yes, this is my story. I'm done talking about, and I'm embarrassed, so I want to hide my thing now. Please unzoom me. So there we go. Okay, maybe we have one more shot at seeing this elephant's trunk. Come on, elephant. Let's see. One last zoom. I think we can get, now we can see, there we go. Wait for the magic moment. You can sort of get a view of what I'm talking about. There, it's exposed. Look how weird that is. So bizarre. Hopefully my drawing now makes, bless you, Gat, makes a little bit more sense. And on that happy note, before Gat snorts up a few more Bapani bees, off we go back to Ngala, and we'll see what else we can find.
We've got something very, very interesting. We've just managed to find this young male leopard moving through the grass. And he is quite active. He's making it quite tricky for us to follow him.
but he's sticking to one direction generally, and he's walking along the banks of the Timavati River. So we might just wait. He's in a perfect little window. Once he moves behind those bushes to his right, we'll try and reposition, but it looks like he's kind of moving back and forth looking for something to hunt. So he's taking it relatively slow, and he's doing this quite often. So he's stopping and he's listening. Just look at how still he is now. Ears are focused. He's scanning up ahead. He doesn't want to surprise, or he wants to see an animal before it sees it. Okay, I'm going to move a little bit more forward and see if we can try and get around him here. But what a fantastic way to be spending time with the leopard so early on, and it's moving around. Okay. I believe a few people are very excited to be able to spend some... Oopsie. He's right here. I'm going to move forward. Now this male leopard, from pretty much his first day of being born on Ngala, has been introduced to vehicles. So he is completely relaxed around us. And so he gave me a bit of a fright when he popped up and he was right next to the vehicle without really reacting. So this male leopard, we have been able to show the viewers quite a few times in the last couple of months, and he's the one who unfortunately lost his mother at a very, very young age. So this is the Makoti male. Can you see him there, Owen? Just a quick little view before he disappears. I'm just worried that if we move around too much and we spend too much time trying to get the best view, we might lose him completely. Okay, so it sounds like we're going from one big cat to another. What we'll do is send you across to a cheetah, I think, another spotted cat.
Welcome back, guys. As you can see, we're still around here with a beautiful cat. As you can see, they're just hanging around, just facing different directions, which is like that normal cheetah does. When they're more than one, they have to help each other to just check if any danger is coming around. Mom, she's facing the other direction. The cubs are also facing different direction, which is very good. That is how they're helping each other. Like example, if anything comes like a lion or leopard, they warn each other and then they start run. So there must be been so many situations like that. They learn as they're going along. Look at that. It's just lying down nicely now. Guys, it's quite a lot of windy today here. Jackal, that's a good question. Yes, Mom, she will let them eat a lot because she still needs to hunt anytime. So, the cubs, they'll eat more than the mom. And also, she will let them eat first just to make sure if there's anything happening or if they get disturbed by something the cubs they are already eating. Yeah, that's how they do it, Jackal. Yeah, Ladybug, yeah, that's a wonderful family. I really enjoy them. You can see now they start looking like a cheetah now. Yeah, that's because the bellies they are full, so they have to kiss it. Yeah, guys, we're still enjoying with the cheetah here, but we'll send across to Eric with the hungry leopard then. Must be good luck for everyone. Enjoy.
Thank you so much, Dumi. Yes, we certainly are enjoying our afternoon, and this male leopard is making it quite challenging for us to follow him, but it's going to be super rewarding, and just to spend this much time with a leopard on the move at this time of day is just incredible. And he's just dropped down. What I've noticed about him now is he's spending quite a lot of time looking up in trees, and if you've followed the show for quite some time, you might have heard the story of this young male leopard. Because his mother got killed when he was such a youngster, he had to learn how to survive himself. And one of the ways that he was surviving was by finding vultures' nests. And he would climb up to the top of the trees and get into the vultures' nests and steal the vultures' chicks. Can you imagine we get to see this live on air? So we are going to do our best to try and stick with him. He is looking around, and every now and again some birds start alarm calling at him, and so he decides to slink away and continue on. But we've been scanning every tree around here. He has crossed the small little drainage line. Luckily it is relatively easy for us to get onto the other side. It's just making sure that we get our Now, Finak, you're asking what leopards usually hunt the most, and they've got a very, very wide variety of diet, and it's one of the reasons why they are so successful. So they can go after pretty much anything. Generally speaking, though, you'd kind of say that they'll focus more on the small to medium antelope species. So within this area, impala, grey duiker, maybe even steenbok are some of the things that come to mind. I can hear the birds' alarm calling. It's a lot thicker in here, so I'm going to have to drive around. So we're going to try and get onto the top of this drainage line and hopefully continue following him for as long as we can.
We have some dwarfies. Actually, we have a lot of dwarf mongoose here. Mongooses. All over this termite mound. Update for you all once again, everyone. I am starting to lose my mind. We went to the hyena den and cubs are out. No adult. Yes, and they look very sad. I'm completely anthropomorphizing here. So before I forget, I no longer have Davi on camera. I have Dino on camera. He is with us today, and the hyena den is just behind us. The mongoose den is right here. Closest relatives. Oh wait, there's a hornbill. Can you see the hornbill on the stick there? Just to the left of the mound, there's a hornbill. Is it a red-billed? Yes. No, it's a yellow-billed. You always find yellow-billed hornbills and mongoose together. They have a very sweet relationship, and the hornbills are always awake early, much earlier than the mongoose, and sometimes they come to the termite mound to wake them up. Dwarf mongoose, a bit like myself, they don't really like to wake up super early, and they wait until the sun is fully up, and you'll see them all pop their heads out of the mound, pillow face and all. And the relationship is actually very sweet between the hornbill and the mongoose. Animals that don't compete for the same resource don't need to harm one another. They really don't. They're not really competing. And if they are competing, if they're all after the same food source, then they can assist one another so that everybody wins. And this is exactly the case with the dwarf mongoose and the hornbill. You often find them together. And TAYLA had a wonderful sighting with hornbills and mongoose. I'm sure she can tell you about it later. I think this is a mutualistic relationship because both species benefit. They look out for one another, they warn one another, and they feed together. Feeding, safety, are your two priorities out here in the wild. The mongoose are not going to harm the hornbills, and the hornbills are not going to harm the mongoose.
Any zoo vehicles on Rio Tela?
Turn my radio down. There was actually a study done on the different alarm calls of the dwarf mongoose because it's so fascinating. One research noticed that there was variance across the board between different geographical areas. And, well, what would be the reason for this? And it relates to the specific predators. They're very, very vocal. There's quite a high sort of cognitive level of understanding when it comes to vocalizations. And a group of mongoose in one area may not necessarily understand the vocalizations from mongoose in a different area. So it's quite area specific, if that makes sense. And the study showed that one group of mongoose were alarm calling for an aerial predator, which means a bird of prey. And when they played those alarm calls to mongoose in a different area, they understood there was a threat. Something's wrong. A threat is coming. But they went into panic because they were not able to understand exactly where the threat was coming from. What does it mean? Is it a leopard? Is it a bird of prey? So the study basically concluded that dwarf mongoose have different dialects, just as humans do, I guess, according to where they're found, according to geographical location, which I think is fascinating. So dwarf mongoose in South Africa might not be able to understand dwarf mongoose in Botswana. They'll understand that something's wrong, it's an alarm call, but they won't be able to understand anything further than that. And the hornbills, of course, latch on to this. They will not be able to understand where the threat's coming from or the dialect, but they'll be able to understand there's a threat. And of course, a hornbill can just use its wings and take off into flight. Christy, it is really interesting. It's fascinating. It's a great study. Different animals out here rely on different senses. Leopards, for example, are highly olfactory. They communicate through scent. They understand hormones, pheromones, chemicals far better than we do. And dwarf mongoose, for example, they are more vocal. That's their keen sense that they rely on. So I'm going to head down to Treehouse Dam, see if we can find anybody down there. But talking of leopards, we're going to send you back across to one.
We've still got the leopard. He's walking straight past us.
There they come.
Looks like there we go. Oh, awesome. He's finally given us an opportunity to view him. Oh, he made us work hard for it, but luckily he's just taken the opportunity to settle down, and he's got such a beautiful view of the river. He's in the shade. So see, look at him looking up again. Unfortunately, or depends on any way you look at it, fortunately, unfortunately, we haven't seen any vultures' nests along the stretch of river. But he literally, every single tall tree he walks by, he just glances up and just checks them. And so because this young male hasn't really had the coaching that the mother would have provided, he needed to figure things out by himself. So those little dwarf mongooses that you had a bit earlier on would be probably something that would spark his interest. They are rather small for him now, but any food is food for a young male leopard like this. And this late, Emma's just saying how nice this light is, and it is just going to get better and better in this late afternoon winter's day. It's quite hazy, which will make it even more orangey red. So we are really spoiled this afternoon. And the tracking team went out to try and find him, and they saw tracks of him not really fresh from sometime this morning. And as they completed an area, his tracks were on top of the vehicle tracks that they had just driven past. So they knew that he was somewhere close by. And luckily, I think Barney was in the vehicle on the riverbed and managed to spot him lying on the bank. And we came in from the top here. Pranav, you're asking about the very white tip to the end of their tails. And if you've ever looked at different animals, they've all got these weird markings at the ends of their ears or at the tip of their tails like that. And for leopards, it serves as what we call a follow me sign. And so that white tip stands out. And this is the prime example. If you look at his coat now, he blends in so well with his surroundings. So when he was a very small cub and his mother was taking him to and from an area, he would look out for that little white tip, and that would be the confirmation that he knows where his mother is. And with that little white tip, she's able to communicate with him in subtle ways without having to vocalize and give away their position. And a lot of the time, if you're seeing a leopardess walking with her cubs, as soon as she starts twitching that tail from side to side, the cubs will notice that. And if they're well behaved on the day, they'll do exactly what he's doing now. Just stop moving and make themselves invisible. So if the mother has an opportunity to hunt, they can hopefully have a nice, tasty meal. And this is one of the things that's so exciting to be able to follow one of these young males, is because they're still figuring out life. And so they move around at quite odd hours of the day, and they get up to quite a lot of things. So they're quite inquisitive, they're quite adventurous, and so they do things that not very many normal leopards do. There are quite a lot of flies. So this leopard isn't really moving for now, which means that we can take a quick little break. And so I think we'll take you back to Dumi at Pinda and see what his cheetah are up to.
Welcome back again. As you can see, we're still here. The cheetah, the mother, she just stood up now. She looked like she's kind of looking around. But the cubs, they were playing around not long ago. But it must be a time now for them to start moving. As you can see, a beautiful stretch, and maybe she'll find another good position. Yeah, like as you can see, the cubs still playing. She's still looking at them. You never know what's going to happen, because it could be anything around the corner when she come around. But yeah, we'll see how it goes. The cubs still playing around, but mom, she still looks like she wanted to move now, and even to change the position of the area, because they look like they've been here for almost the whole day. Horse, and they not really enjoying to hunt on the wind, because they can easily get picked by the prey, what they're looking for, quite easily. They prefer very lower wind than that. But if they're downwind, yes, it's no problem there, strap horse. And they are, if you look straight over ahead, you can see right across Impala there, but difficult to say not for the cheetah, because anything can happen if she come around, but also the wind direction is good for her, but it's pretty much open and it must be easy to get a visual of her if she keep on moving that direction, because it's very light, as you can see. But must be the sun must be direct to the impala's face. Let's see what's going to happen. As you can see, everyone start moving now. She got no idea there are some impala around a corner. We'll see what going to be the reaction when she spot the impala there. I think she's just moving now because she just wants to change position. But the way she's walking, you can see she kind of crunching because she doesn't want to be seen by anything. Yeah, Jenny, that is interesting to see. She's still moving like that. Yeah, she has quite a nice belly now. Even the babies, if you look at them, Jenny. Yeah, she looks like she's moving, passing by. The impala, I have no idea there are some cheetah around. And also the way they're moving, they're actually moving opposite wind. Look at this little bird just flown away from the disturbing the cubs. Interesting to see that. Anything for the cheetah is a threat. Looks like she might be finding another spot to just settle down there, or pick up a scent or something. We're gonna try to move slightly forward. Oh yeah, she's actually finding another spot. Okay guys, as you can see now that our cheetah now, she's just started to settle down a bit. While we are still waiting here, we'll send you across to Eric with that leopard, see what's going on there. Yes.
It's amazing how we get to go from one large cat to another like this. It's really just shows you how much value these virtual safaris bring. And this male leopard hasn't moved around. We've changed our position slightly just so in case he picks up his head we might be able to see his beautiful facial features. But he's gone very, very flat. There are a couple of spur fowls. You might be able to hear quite a high-pitched whistle. It's a Natal spur fowl that is slowly making its way into this area. And he is listening out to it, but he's not really that interested in it. But if they do come very close and they get flushed or something like that, he might just react by picking up his head. And this just goes to show you why they have been designed and why they've evolved like this. And the color and the spot patterns just really blends in with this natural grass color. And if we didn't know that he was here, we would drive past him 10 times out of 10. David, I'm glad you're on the same wavelength as me, thinking how beautiful this lighting in this afternoon is. It really is so beautiful. And the light is dipping low and low. We are in and amongst the tall canopy of some jackalberry trees, but I'm hoping that if he decides to move up and move into some light, we get to see what his face looks like. He's still got a very, very, very pink nose, almost no scarring around him. And as he was walking past our vehicle on one or two occasions, I did manage to notice quite a long scar. And so that scar seems like it's healed and it doesn't really affect him at all. So hopefully he gets up and moves again for us.
We have got two things that I suspect you would be able to see if you drove past them, on account of the fact that to the human eye they look, well, bleeding obvious. That is, of course, the zebra, and they are showing us their very fine bottoms, and as everybody acknowledges, those are the finest bottoms in all the wilderness. I'm not sure why it is that we see so few zebras in these parts. But I suspect most of the zebras of the general vicinity are up on the, maybe further east on the basalt plains of the Greater Kruger. I'd be interested to know how many zebras there were in the south of Ngala right now on those knobthorn savannas. They're not supposed to be there at this time of the year. But who knows? Very nice to see them, especially in this lovely afternoon light. Many of you seem to be amused that I've called them the finest bottoms in the bush. Really, it's not meant to be a joke. I mean, those are some very fine hind quarters. And I've always thought this about equids. They have the larger hind quarter to forequarter, which I think is it's a prerequisite if you want to even be judged in the contest for fine bottoms. And so immediately hyenas, giraffes and wildebeest, and in fact many antelope, are disqualified by having smaller hindquarters than they do forequarters. You can't compete. So, you know, the main competitors for this particular honor must be the zebras, the warthogs, some of these antelope like impala, duiker, not bad, but I'm really not sure you can compare any of them with the very fine roundness of the equid's buttocks. And they pack a mighty punch, those things. The zebra is a very powerful animal. And I think the design of the hindquarters is for explosive speed and escape, which of course has lent them to being effective domesticated animals, not zebras, but their cousins, the horses. I got about a quarter of that communication. I think we're going across to Lauren. I think she has a smaller animal.
If any of you ever sit and ponder which duiker in the world may be the most chilled duiker, it is this one. Someone the other day mentioned Danny Boy, and I have to say I love it. Danny Boy the duiker. Bent over horn, a bit bizarre looking, but unbelievably relaxed. And this is the exact same place we find Danny Boy every single day. He is just the most relaxed duiker. I've got a relaxed steenbok on quarantine, and this is my duiker. Very interested on something in the ground here, but really doesn't bat an eyelid when the car comes, which is very impressive. Duikers normally dive, which is exactly where they get their name from. They're really not known to be relaxed or calm around anything. But although he's probably looking for some sort of twigs, leaves, seeds, anything on the ground. They are browsers. Duikers are actually really well known for consuming the most unusual food substances. There's some records on the internet of duikers actually eating birds. Very, very small ground nesting birds. Reptiles. Mopani worms. And even mice. So it's a bit of a debate. Are they consuming these items by accident while browsing? Or are they purposely consuming them? And I think it's on purpose, probably to add a little dash of protein to their diet. Maybe they require some protein, just like giraffes chew bones, or leopard tortoises eat hyena scat. HB, you're right, they look so innocent. Looks can be deceiving, HB. But yes, you're right, now we only have a bum shot. We shall move. Duikers also dig. They use their hooves to actually dig food out of the ground. But some animals just have a sort of requirement. Oh, no, he's changed his mind. We're back again. We've got the head and not the bum. But osteophagia is what the term given to animals that chew bones. Kudu do it, giraffe do it, and this is to sort of get calcium into the body. So some sort of biological drive is telling them they require calcium. Same for leopard tortoises eating hyena scat. Really would not be my ideal choice. I think I'd rather chew a bone than eat hyena scat. But that's a tough choice. But the reason they do this is for calcium. A lot of animals eat mud as well. Sort of moist, delicious mud. And this is called geophagia. And this is when they obviously need some sort of mineral or salt from the earth into their diet. So I wonder if that's what the duikers are doing when they eat reptiles or small birds. Because they are essentially herbivorous. And they are browsers. So they don't graze the grass, they glean the leaves of trees. Oh, Danny boy. Hello, handsome. With your funky horn. It really baffled me the first time I saw this duiker, but it's just bent over backwards. I don't think the horn is actually broken. I do think it's just bent. So I think we're going to leave Danny boy, do a large loop and eventually head back to the hyena den. But you guys, off you pop to the leopard at Ngala.
So still not too much activity going on with this young male leopard, but he is picking up his head every now and again, and he has put his head down nicely in a gap that we at least get to see more than half of his face. And you might be able to just see the color of its nose that I was pointing out. So that bright pink color, but it's starting to get dark on the outside. And then if you look at the bridge of his nose, how clean it is, there's no scarring whatsoever. He threatened with a little eye open there. I thought he was going to at least pick up his head for a second. And so, I mean, all of those signs just show us how young he is. Once he starts competing for territories, he's going to get into more and more confrontations with other male leopards, and there's going to be more and more times where he just develops little nicks and scarrings on the bridge of his nose. So Lynette, they become territorial once they start feeling confident enough that they can protect an area. And so he's probably just under between 2.5 and 3 years old, somewhere around there. And it will probably take him another year and a half until he really starts feeling confident. And what I notice now, I mean, I haven't seen him in quite some time, probably about at least 5 weeks or so. it just seems like his chest is filling out really nicely. So he's starting to develop some muscles, but he isn't the biggest young male leopard I've seen before. And that's probably going to be his biggest challenge. And, if he moves away from this area and comes into a confrontation with the territorial male, that male's going to be bigger than him. And so he'll have to move away until eventually he feels he's big enough and strong enough to come and challenge the territory. And he might start off quite far away from the riverbed. I mean, we've just seen how beautiful the habitat this river can be for leopards. And so it's quite prime territory. And so it tends to be the biggest and the strongest males hold territories around the river. And so he might start away from the river, and as he gets older and more experienced, he might start moving closer and closer down in towards the riverbed where there's more resources, but more importantly where there's more females that he might be able to mate with. He's still got a long road ahead of him though, but the way that he survived from being independent from about 10 months old, it seems like he's got quite a good chance of making it. There we go, there's his head up. Quick little listen. Hopefully he moves and faces us. Just look at the different patternings of the spots. Hello. There's something that's caught his interest. And look at those solid spots of circles around his ear, and then as we go down towards his chest, the stripes or the spots become more and more elongated. I find, especially on a young male like this, the proportions of their face are just so perfect. From the spot patterns to the shape of the nose, to the eyes, to the ears. They are definitely a very, very good looking cat. I mean, even just how the colors transform from whites to goldens to blacks. I think one of my favorite things about these leopards is that little collar that runs from its chest. Almost like a big necklace. And down yesterday afternoon, we were with another female leopard, and I was mentioning that sometimes grey duikers, or at least common duikers, spend time down here by the riverbed, and so maybe this is something that he'll be looking out for.
Welcome back, everyone, again. As you can see, we're still around here. With our cheetahs still stationary, but we have another visit. As you can see right in front of us, that big a single male zebra. He just come across without knowing where he's coming from. I think it looks like he's lost, but it looks like he's staring on a cheetah at the moment, trying to figure out. As you can see, he realized they're smaller than him, but if it was a lion with different story, he'll be gone. He know that the cheetah is smaller than him. He's just trying to make sure. He's going to make some noise, trying to warn everyone around, because there was some impala further down. Also further across, there were some wildebeest. Wow. Eliza, yeah, this is awesome, eh? To have them in the same spot, which is unbelievable. But look like he's moving away now. You realize, no, they're not going to do anything to him. He's big enough to kick them. He's trying to find his family, I believe. Off he goes. Cheetah doesn't care. They know they're not going to take any chance to him. So they're going to just leave, left alone. So the wind seems to be dropped a little bit now, which is good. This will be nice for like tomorrow morning again. If you look at that weather, not too sure, but for now, the weather is getting better than before. Only thing now, the sun is... Okay, meantime, you guys, we might not see you again because we'll send you across to TAYLA with the wild dogs. Enjoy the guys.
Wild dogs! Sorry, I'm very excited again, but now there's... No, come back, dog, please. We're just looking on the ground going, we drove this road a whole bunch of times. There they are. Aha! We got you. Thank you, dogs. There they are, all of them. 1, 2, 3, and there's a fourth one. So they must have just been resting up near the basalt ridge, which is where we lost them. And then we've been pretty much trying to relocate them since we left the elephants this afternoon, which was proving to be quite difficult. So we thought, okay, one last chance. We'll come and scratch around. Just a little bit south from where this is the area we thought they were going to run in. And I think that they've actually just woken up. So I don't think they were resting too far away. I could see all their footprints in the sand. And I was like, oh, they were here. They were definitely here. And then we looked up and they were like, there they are. This is going to be the tricky part. They're crossing the drainage line now. I'm going to go forward a little bit. If you stay like that, I think you can still maybe see them. But we know that these dogs, oh my goodness, they just bob and weave like you cannot... I can't see them now. So they've just crossed the drainage line. Now I need to just see if they're going to turn back and come this way, or if they're going to carry on going south. So we might have to zoom around to the other side. I'm going to send you back to Duma to see what James is doing.
I'm up to looking at kudu. And I very much like this kudu because it is standing, well, I did like it. It was standing out in the open as it browsed on the red bush willow leaves with little shafts of falling sunlight or failing sunlight casting a glow across its body. Now, unfortunately, it's gone behind the bush. There are a couple of them in there. Little herd of kudus having their evening meal. I've just been chewing on a piece of red bush willow myself. I'm glad it won't be my evening meal. Yeah, Tyler, they absolutely do. That's a very good question. But animals definitely know the difference between alarm calls and normal noises or other noises, and they communicate with a kind of a language. So the best example is the example of monkeys. And we know, and if you listen to monkeys very carefully, and you know monkeys well, this is vervet monkeys, you can actually hear them saying eagle, leopard, or snake. And each call is slightly different. Now, there are also some animals, other than human beings, who can understand what the monkeys are saying. So yes, definitely animals like these kudu are able to understand the difference between different calls. I don't know if the kudu can understand the difference between a normal monkey call or a monkey alarm call. In fact, I take that back. I'm pretty sure that this kudu can understand if a monkey is alarm calling or if it's just chattering to its friends. I don't know if it can understand that the monkey is alarm calling for snake, leopard, or eagle. And I'm pretty sure that a monkey can understand when a kudu is alarm calling. So a kudu's alarm call is a kind of deep bark. It sounds like an angry dog. It goes, bah! And I know that a monkey will understand that as an alarm call. Whereas if a kudu just kind of blows out or goes, poof, then all right, let's quickly go back to TAYLA.
So we didn't have to move too far. We literally just raced around to get the dogs. And I think they're going to actually go back to the eco-training camp again. They're still looking for something to eat. They've stopped every now and then. They're listening. So they didn't get a meal in the morning. So now is their chance. And I was saying to you this morning, this is their favorite time to hunt. It's nice and cool. It's kind of perfect. Oh, this is so awesome. I love wild dogs. They could be one of my favorite animals. So I'm just looking. Most of them actually look like males. One, there are my binoculars. I just want to check those two up in front are males, because now we can actually see them in the open. There's a female. It's another male. Another boy. And a female. It looks like there's 2 females and 4 males. And there are 2 that have got shorter tails, and I think that I don't know if it's maybe a sub-adult from the year before, one of the females. That one there. Or if it's just lost a portion of its tail. Maybe a hyena snapped it off. And also they can be quite rough. Okay, I need to keep up with them. Because obviously they're going to disappear quite quickly. How epic though that we get to see them again. I haven't had much joy just yet on figuring out exactly which pack this is. But we'll try and figure it out at some point. I actually didn't get any good pictures this morning. Not anything great like that I could use for IDing. But this is obviously a little bit better. So we'll try and take some pictures so we can send them off to probably Grant Beverly, he handles the meta population of wild dogs for South Africa with Endangered Wildlife Trust. So he also just lives just in the wildlife state. So he knows the wild dogs in this area very, very well. All the dogs in South Africa, in fact. So we will try and get a view. We'll try and get his opinion. And Peter, I think that they could quite easily hunt into the evening. Remember, the moon is still quite full, so it's not impossible for them. So they might utilize this opportunity where other predators find having the moon out to be a bit of a hindrance because it's so bright and they can't conceal themselves. So they might try their luck here. I just need to figure out, what are they going to do? Are they going to go towards the dam? I just want Norman... I just want to tell Norman, can you stand by at the dam? I'm going to try and go around on this road just south of them. Sorry, I'm just quickly messaging Norman. There they go. And to decide what the best route is. So Norman is behind me. It's really good to have 2 or 3 vehicles when you're looking to go after wild dogs, because if they pick up on the scent or something, they change their minds at a moment's notice. So the dam is down there. Ooh, this daycare is the luckiest daycare in the whole world. There's one just slinking off here. The dogs have not seen it. And I think there's a road that runs here. Just want to see if the dogs are going to turn back if they pick up on it. No, I think they've moved. If I'm not mistaken, there should be a road that just runs in here. We'll pick up the pace a bit. Okie dokie. I'm going to try and figure out where this road is. I'm going to turn around actually. Off you go somewhere. I didn't hear where, but they have an elephant bull, which could be quite exciting.
Have an elephant right in the middle of the road. It's a bull. And it's so fascinating. He's been playing with this elephant bone on the ground here. You see just to the right? I'm sure this is the bone of an elephant. I don't know which bone. And it's been lying in the middle of the road for some time now, and everyone's been complaining about it, but nobody's moved it. And this boy has just been playing with the bone. How incredible. I wonder if he knows it's from an elephant. Now, there's lots of elephants down in the Mulwati, but I'm going to try and go forward and see if we can watch him walk away, or maybe try and pick up this bone. It's been here for weeks and nobody's moved it. I think a hyena dragged it here. It's not fresh, but I think maybe a hyena was playing with it. So we'll take... Oh, we know this bull. This bull's got a tear in his right ear. Can start to recognize them. I wonder if this is a gentle old bull. that was hanging around a lot when Tristan and I were on drives. A true gentleman. Can you hear that? Rose, you're saying it's from his punk rock days, that dear. Oh, back in the day, huh? I want to try and pick up this bone for you, but I'm not sure this is going to be possible. Let me see if I can reach out to show you all this elephant bone. Okay, I probably should not do this in case I fall out the car. So I'm going to try and reach this bone for you all, and you guys are going back across to the leopard at Ingala.
This is probably the most perfect timing ever. It's literally only just lifted up its head now. And so I think it's probably just going to do what it's been doing the whole afternoon, is reacting to noises that it hears. Maybe about 8 to 10 minutes ago, there was a hyena that walked down the riverbed, which caught his attention, but it was far enough away that it wasn't too worried about the hyena, so he just basically watched it disappear up on the bank and settled down again. Let's see what happens. This is the longest he's had his head up now. So it will be really cool if we get to see him moving 1 or 2 more times. There we go. He's up. And without warning, no yawning, no grooming, he just decided to get up. It was perfect timing. You'll just see, I really don't want to bother him, so I'll let him move past the vehicle a little bit. He is again looking up a tree. As soon as he takes a few more steps forward, then I'll decide to reverse back and see if we can show you the view. Okay, he is moving. No, he's actually settled down again. Choosing a different spot. Still there. Can you see him, Owen? Is this fine for you? Okay. There we go. So we'll show you him now. He's settled down, and just look at how big this tree is. He's settled at the base of this, and now he's showing more of the behavior of cats when they decide to get active. So you can just see how he's cleaning his front paws there. We might see a yawn or two. It seems like there's a little bit of detective work going on, so we'll send you across to Lauren and see if she can find out what bone that is.
It wasn't easy. It's ridiculously heavy. I'm glad I eat spinach. Before we take a closer look, I just want to give you a sort of comparison. This is my small arm. And you can see exactly how large this is. It's so dense. It's so heavy. I'm sure it's from an elephant. I can't quite tell exactly what bone it's from. Now, bones are very dense and very heavy, especially compared to cartilage. Cartilage is softer, more flexible, and more resistant to disease. And that's why a lot of your fish, your cartilaginous fish, sharks, manta rays, rays in general, are made from cartilage because it's flexible, they can move, and it's far more resistant to disease. Now, I want to try and give you a look at the other side. This is what the elephant was playing with. His trunk appears to be, it's almost the same size as my head. Appears to be a lot stronger than I. If we can just take a little closer look in it, you can see the actual structure of the bone and how it's grown over time. It's such a large piece of bone. I mean, the adult human body has about 206 bones. We have a lot of bones in our foot, I think it's around 26. And we have a lot of bones in our wrists, which is about 54. And the smallest and lightest bone in the human body is in the middle ear. Most important bone, right in the middle ear. I really don't know which bone this is from an elephant, but I imagine it's one of the leg bones. So I'm going to throw it exactly back where I found it. You'll see that I eat spinach, everybody. Many of you are saying it looks like mini honeycombs. Yes, it's very intricate. Bone is intricate, including the human bones, of course. We're all the same, we're all mammals, and it's extremely heavy. And I just wonder if that bull knew on some level that that bone was from an elephant. Now, he might not have. I'm sort of speculating here. It could have just had an interesting smell, or he could have just wanted something to play with. But elephants are very intuitive when it comes to corpses or remains, bones or tusks of other elephants. They seem to have an awareness that whatever item it is belonged to an elephant. Fascinating. There we go, my car is nice and clean now. So we let the bull wander off. He's gone into the thicket, and we will not follow behind him when the light's starting to get low. So where are we going? Hyena den, where I have been many times already to David. Wish me luck. This time I really hope the hyenas are there. So, talking about spotted hyenas, we are going to send you to a spotted cat.
He's just starting to put a show on for us. He was promising, he was looking up that tree. He even put his front two paws onto the tree, and we thought he was definitely going to climb it. And look at him now. It's not a bad second bet to watch him do that rather than climbing it. It's just incredible. He's on quite a large termite mound, so he might have just tried to get a slight bit of elevation just to scan a little bit further on, but now it seems like he's on a bit of a mission. So we get to follow him, and this is exactly what we've been waiting for. I'm not going to move now. There is a gap after this thicket that he crosses by. And he's just laying down on the other end of the thicket. So I am going to actually have to reposition to see him. He's been moving about 5 meters at a time and then flopping down and resting again. So I think, if anything, he's probably reacting to insects. There's quite a lot of flies. Leaping lizard there. Thank you for noticing that necklace I was mentioning a little bit earlier on. But there he is. See, again, in a spot where you can scan down into the riverbed. Another quick little yawn, and just look at how those ears and how he shakes his head. So, and the flick of the tail there. So he's definitely getting bothered by insects. Small little flies. And as per tradition, a leopard will never take the easy way and walk out into the open. They have to go into the bushes and make it as hard as possible for us. It sounds like now that we can literally just see the grass moving here. I think he might have lain down in the thicket there. So it could be the end of our sighting with him. We might hang around for a little bit longer, but we'll send you across to Doomy, who's got some more cats out in the open.
Welcome back again, everyone. We're still around here. We're just hoping something will happen. Yeah, as you can see, cheetah's still lying down here as you left us. And looks like they're going to spend the night here. As you can see, already start getting a bit dark here. So the wind, which is good, the wind is dropped quite a lot now. So they're going to spend so much time, whole night here, and just be able to listen if there's anything that's coming around. So as you can see, the mom's on our left, the two little cubs, they're just on the right there, position themselves facing different direction, so which is good. The moms just keep on working around, checking around, just making sure no one touching the baby. I think earlier she was just changing the positioning. Here is much better because it's just covered with the bush right behind us, and even that make even more less wind blowing too much to them, so they can be able to listen if there's anything that's coming around them. Yeah, it starts getting a bit dark now, so oh, that's good. That's lovely for sure. We are also enjoying them. That's why we spend so much time with them, because there's a beautiful family cheetah. You can see slightly bit movement. None, yes, but get used to anyway. This is the life like for them. Doesn't really bother them that much, because also remember Nana, she loves babies, and also she will need to make sure she keeps them surviving into this. She chosen a good place. It's a bit more open, some bit few bushes. If it's happen any dangerous like coming, like a lion or leopard, the young one can easily run into the thicket so they can hide away from the dangerous situation. Well, this is a lovely evening for them. Tomorrow is going to be another day for them. See what they're going to do. So this is amazing. Yeah, she keep on checking everywhere. It's amazing to see. She's just lying down now, but the head's always up, with the nail just looking around. She can easily turn around, checking all over the place. But the baby sister, Mommy, she's here. She'll make sure she's looking after us. It's like our family happy because they're all full belly, no stress that much, only for looking around, making sure they're all safe. Right, guys, well, as you can see, it starts getting a bit dark now with the cheetah. We'll send across to run to Ejuma. Enjoy it, guys. Catch you again another time. Have a good evening.
Oh, I'm making my way around Juma to the one place I have been many, many times. We're slowly going to the hyena den, and I really, really hope there's going to be adults there. If there's not, we immediately leave. It's okay. But I'm just slightly confused. I think this is day 3 without seeing any adults. But the cubs, Ribbons cubs, not Corky's cub, Ribbons cub do need to understand being pushed to independence. They do need to understand that mom will not always be there. It's an important lesson for the cubs. So we're just going to slowly approach the den from a little bit of a different angle. And I'm really hoping somebody's home. The den's just over here. Now I've chosen to come this way so I'm not sneaking up from behind them. pet. You're saying, Ribbon, go home. I know. Where are you, dear Ribbon? I know where Swazi is. I can tell you all where Swazi is. But as for Ribbon, I really don't know where she is, I'm afraid. But her little cubbies are just waiting. And of course, they're getting older now. They're very energetic. They're bouncing about. They don't want to be stuck inside the den all day. They want to move and cause trouble and nibble on things and bite things. So we're just going really, really slowly towards the den. It may take some time, I'm afraid. And let's just hope someone is there. I don't want to put any lights on yet either. Okay, so the den's just down here. I'm going to quickly check. Let's hope it's good news. And while we do that, I am going to send you guys back across to Eric.
That male leopard eventually did drop down into the riverbed, and he started walking right along the bank. And it looked like he was actually looking for some water that was around one of the rocky sections along the riverbed, and I didn't see any through my binoculars, but sometimes elephants will dig water in that spot, and there is sometimes a little bit of water left over once they've drunk, so maybe that's where he'll be targeting. There's a chance that by the time we get there he would have moved off already, but I thought it might be worth just trying to get one last view of him. I know we've been super spoiled, but I just can't help myself. We have to try and see him one more time before we call it a day. These moments on safari don't happen too often, so when they do, I'm a firm believer of taking full advantage of them. So this is actually a small little tributary of the HB. I think this male leopard has actually already started to learn how to hunt bigger animals like antelopes, and it's just trial and error, so his success rate at this age is probably very low compared to when he becomes more experienced, bigger and stronger, but he will still probably try go after impalas, grey duikers, and I think it's got largely to do with luck at this age, but now he starts to learn and he starts to figure out what works, what doesn't, until eventually he might become quite an astute hunter. The way that he's also, just come to think of it, his essentially older sister, so from the same mother but different fathers, has got the cub. We actually saw her last night. She is the Inyala female, and she also is a pretty good hunter. And there's been a few occasions where we've seen him scavenging kills off of her. And we've seen it before where we were tracking that leopardess and her cub, and then all of a sudden tracks of a young male following behind. So he picks up the scent of them and he'll try and follow them as long as he can. And I suppose he's learned that that's an easy way to get food, and it's also a very energy efficient way to find food. So he doesn't have to expend that energy failing to hunt. So we are just about to get to the main riverbed if we don't get stuck in this point. Obviously it had to happen whilst we were live. But whilst we try and navigate through the sinking sand, we'll send you across to James and see what he's up to.
James is doing what James does very best in the world, and that's drive. Hey Bika. Bika's very excited by my exceptional driving today. Done a lot of good driving. Sort of driving straight, driving in circles, driving around corners. It's the sort of driving we've done. Unfortunately, it's not been particularly productive from an animal perspective. But what we are going to do now, because we're allowed to, is go and check One-Eyed Pan, which is just inside Simbambili. I think this is One-Eyed Pan Road. Is it? No. Is that the one behind us? BK says it's not this one. It's the one behind us. Thank you, BK. This is Simbambili cut line, isn't it? Yes. Hang on, everybody. We'll be there shortly. Is it this one right here? It's way back. Oh, of course it is. Yes, it's starting to come back to me now. I think we'll go back there. Let's have a look. Oh, drive around there. One-Eyed Pan is a nice little pan where there are often pleasant birds. I had a nice sighting of Shadow the leopard there once. And after a day like today, when it's been quite warm, it would not be too surprising to see a leopard. I really did miss it by quite a margin. Oh, that was a chilly dip. Yes, I do need a map, Jennifer, of Simbambili for sure. But I should have known where One-Eyed Pan was. I mean, it's not like I haven't been there before. It's not like I haven't driven past the road 700 times and said, ah, that's One-Eyed Pan Road. It's coming up now. Fear not. There we go. Should we try this one, BK? BK is nodding. He says this is it. There's a little pan here. I did come in here once by mistake when I wasn't allowed to. I followed a leopard in here. Okay, no, we don't have GPSs. Well, we have phones that have GPS on them, I suppose. But mostly it's just familiarizing yourself with the area. Sometimes if an area is really difficult, we'll send each other a pin that you can then use GPS to find. Quite nice. But no. Not in an area like this. Gosh, BK, look at that, hey? Aren't you glad we came? You know what, we probably missed the leopard. It was probably here, but we went the wrong way. But that's a very pretty picture that BK is creating for you. Oh, listen to that. You hear that? That is the cattle bells of the herds of cattle just outside the gate in the communal grazing lands. I quite like that sound. Makes me think of quiet, bucolic villages. Right, we shall try and listen to the bells. Let us go across to an animal with Eric that has been caught up with.
We just managed to get here in time because he's just about to cross the end of the river and disappear up into the opposite bank, and from there it's another 20 minutes for us to loop around. So this is our last view. I'll drive forward, move my head. Okay. Just watch him moving up the pathway, and I think he was doing exactly what I mentioned, is moving towards these dug up little holes made by elephants to try and find some water, but it doesn't seem like there's too much water here. Not very many fresh diggings, and so he's probably going to try and find somewhere else. He's just about to disappear. He actually chased after a nightjar quickly. And he's still got that young playfulness. And look how he, just before he gets onto the top of the ridge there, he stops before he silhouettes himself, and he just makes sure that everything's safe. There's nothing that he might be able to hunt. And this is the last few seconds that we're going to have of him before he disappears. really has been such an amazing afternoon with him. To see him up and moving, see how successful he's becoming. It's really great to follow the story of his life from that potential danger of losing his mother all the way to him looking pretty good and healthy. It's a stunning view of him silhouetted against the banks, and again going straight to the trees. And Penelope, you've asked a question that I haven't really thought about. You're asking whether it could be left or right paw dominant, and I don't think so. Not that I'm aware of. I mean, I've managed to see quite a few, and I haven't seen any changes in the physiology. So I haven't seen the left-hand side bigger than the right-hand side before. I mean, there might, especially when they're trying to catch something, they might have a favored paw that they use to swipe, but I haven't had nearly as enough experience watching it to know if they are left or right paw dominant. It seems like he's out of view, moved into the thick bushes. We're not going to try and loop around again, I don't think, only because it's going to take quite a while and he might have moved off by the time that we get there. So I think we might as well just continue driving along the river and see if we can find anything interesting in the next half an hour or so before the end of show. There's not too much more that I can show you that will be as cool as that. But really, Christy, I did notice that. So, and he never really looks completely full. He looks quite skinny, and I mean, they fluctuate. When they find a good meal, they'll feed on it for a couple of days and they'll balloon up, and then they've got a very fast metabolism. So within the next 2 or 3 days after that, they look very, very skinny. But because he's relying on a lot of these smaller things for now, he'll constantly remain skinny. And just a quick little dwarf mongoose here, maybe a little vulture chick there, will just keep him going. And he won't necessarily have the strength and the skill to catch those bigger things yet. So the next thing is, what are we going to find along the river? I would love to see one of the rarer nocturnal smaller cats. So something like a serval or even an African wildcat would be special. I think that would be a fantastic view if we got to see one of them. Now it sounds like I'm being very greedy after spending so much time with the male leopard. Bo, we've got porcupines, but also one of the very rare nocturnal animals. And the last time I saw porcupines, I actually saw 2, and that was at around about 8 o'clock at night time. So they're still coming out after dark, and so we don't get to see them in these twilight hours too much. And we see their tracks a lot. We've actually been noticing their dung on the road a lot recently, and it's a very bright pink color. I'll see next time on if I remember, I'll try and show you it, but I think it's from all of the tannin that they're eating in the inner bark of the trees at the moment. I think I'm see if we can see the reflection of the eyes from a greater distance. With these nocturnal animals, especially the smaller ones like these wildcats and servals and porcupine, even because they're not used to the vehicles, they don't allow us to get so close. And so having the spotlight allows us to see the eyes, and then we'll zoom in with the infrared light and see if we can see what it is. So for porcupines, like I mentioned, they actually live underground, so they'll probably still be it's okay, maybe it's the porcupine who's maybe not pink, but it's got a pinkish purplish tinge to it, so it's not not like a candy pink, but it is, especially at this time of year, it's like a deep purple, more purple than pink, I'd say. just these little marshmallows on the road. Oopsie, that's the wrong gear. So with these, looking for these wildcats and the jennets, we're looking up in the trees, and we'll hopefully try and find a jennet or something along those lines. Somebody else who's looking for some nocturnal animals is Lauren, so let's see if she's found us anything.
I am doing the same. I'm looking for any nocturnal animal, or any animal. Again, the cubs are out, nobody's home, and I just bumped into another vehicle who informed me that this morning, after our drive, the other cub popped his head up. Corky's cub, and they said it's absolutely tiny. So it's still very much a black bear. I can't imagine it being younger than 4 weeks in a communal den. I really can. But my point is, it's there. It's with the other two. So I'm going to gauge 4 or 5 weeks, but I really do need to see it again. And it's alive and well. I'm not sure if any adults was there. I didn't really get that information. But we know that ribbons too are perfectly fine. Things have changed slightly at the den. There was a horn of an impala. 1 horn, not 2. And the cubs are nibbling away on that. Yummy. And I've still not seen the other cub. It's a tricky decision. I'd like to stake out just to get a real view of what's going on. Which adults come and go? When is Corky feeding? Is she feeding? When is Ribbon coming? Are Ribbon and Corky going to the den at the same time? Are any males coming to the den that now that there's a new cub? Is Intima still? There are so many questions. So I think maybe we're going to have to try and just spend a little bit more time there further away, so our car doesn't disturb them in any way, shape or form. I wish I could just ask the hyenas all the questions that I have. Oh, many of you are excited. It's amazing news, because I was slightly worried. I am a worrier by nature. I think we all are. And of course I hadn't seen that cub, but it's alive and well, and it's in the exact same den. Philemon's Dip Den 3. Love saying that. We probably could make that a lot more easier on ourselves by choosing a different name, but we don't. And it popped its little head up this morning, but it was after 9:30, I'm afraid. So I think tomorrow my plan will just be to do a stakeout. Bring lots of bananas, lots of peanut butter, lots of books, and stake it out. I missed that name. Emma will repeat it, but I love that comment about the Juma clan being like a soap opera. Very dramatic. Penelope. Oh, what a beautiful name. Yes. It is like a soap opera. It's unbelievable. And that's why I love to follow it. And to be perfectly honest with you all, the only way we can really determine what's going on with the Juma clan and who ranks where is by observations. And to observe, we need to be there. We need to watch. We know that Ribbon's at the top and Intima's second, but Heart, June and Corky, I can guess, but we don't actually know. And of course, now that Corky's given birth and she's a new mother again, I think we really need to just stake it out. So tomorrow, everyone, bring your picnic blankets and get ready to stake out with me. And hopefully we'll get a glimpse of this little black bundle of joy. I really, really can't wait to see it. But I think the reason we didn't see Corky for a long time, she was denning in the natal den. She was keeping herself separate, letting the cub just, get stronger, get bigger before introducing her cub to Ribbons too, who are much bigger now, as you all know, and very naughty. Naughty is probably not the right word. Again, I'm anthropomorphizing, but they're big and they're ready to explore and they're strong. Ribbon's 2 little boys. But I just don't understand where Ribbon is. So I'm going to continue searching around quarantine for any last minute animals with my spotlight, but it appears Mr. Hendry has his spotlight as well.
is, I'd probably drive into something if I didn't have my spotlight out. There's an impala up ahead, which you shan't look at, because it is a diurnal animal. But also, BK, behold, a bird. Is it, perhaps? Do you want to go into infrared? In 3, 2, 1. I think it might be our friend the bronze-winged courser. No, it is the spotted thickney. Fairly average sighting, I would say. But a pleasant one, nevertheless. Not much by way of night sounds. A few crickets. The odd nightjar in the far distance. No owls calling. All right, BK, I think we'll... Dizzy, that's not a bunny, that is a bird. Not a bunny, a bird. BK? The infrared light is still on. Oh, it doesn't go off today. It sometimes goes off and sometimes it doesn't. Do you want to turn this off? Oh, there we are. Right. If you see a glaring white glow off the top of my head, with the infrared light inside, it's very enthusiastic about its job, assuming it's going to stay on. Impalas are walking across the road. Alright, let's go back up to Ngala. Eric's having luck with the civet over there.
I hope we have luck with the civets. And along this riverbed is so many different big jackalberries, and these jackalberries are fruiting at this time of year, and a lot of the fruit are down on the ground, and so these civets will move from tree to tree feeding on the jackalberry fruits, or the jackalberry berry, I guess. And so we've got a chance. I haven't seen a civet around this area in quite some time, so it would be quite a special view. Actually, the last civet that I saw was, quite oddly, at 8 o'clock in the morning. Myself and another ranger were off tracking the Pride of Lions, and we saw this wildebeest that was looking quite distressed, but it wasn't alarm calling yet, so we looped around to see what the wildebeest was looking at, and then eventually the wildebeest turned and walked away, so we didn't think anything of it. And then about 5 seconds later, this African civet walked about 10 meters in front of us, and it had no idea that we were there. So we crouched behind a little bush and we watched the civet cross over at 8 o'clock in the morning. I couldn't believe my eyes. The first time I'd ever seen it on foot, and yeah, I mean, it's meant to be a nocturnal animal, so you'd only expect to see it in the very dark hours of the day. So it was a very special moment, one that I'll remember for a very long time. But this evening we haven't seen too much nightlife yet. We're taking it slow in the riverbed, but once we get onto the bank we'll pick up the pace and try and cover a little bit more ground and see if we get lucky with any of the special nocturnals. Oh, moonbeams. The tracks of a civet look very, very similar to a cat track, except it lacks the back 3 lobes. I'll be able to find you one now, but I think it'll be a bit difficult with the lighting. So just imagine a cat track with 4 toes and then quite a rounded back pad. The track overall is quite round in shape. So we see them a lot, and they do use the roads a lot to move around, but we just don't see the actual animal too often. coming up to one of the last remaining surface water areas of the Timbavati River, along this stretch at least, in Ngala. So there might be something that's coming down to drink. If there's nothing there, then we'll get out of the riverbed and move back along the banks. So one animal, apart from the mammals I've mentioned, I'd love to show you is a scops owl. So that's something that we'll definitely be keeping an eye out for you.
We're just sitting here admiring the skyline. When you don't have the moon, you opt for the sun, and the sun's gone down. So just going to take a moment to appreciate this beautiful palette of colors in front of us. Mary, you're saying, what a cool view, isn't it? We're on Power Lines Road, so there is a power line right in the middle of the view, I'm afraid. But it's still a cool view, Mary. And sometimes I like to just switch off. There you go, excuse the power line. And listen, that's when you'll hear the saws, or the contact calls, or the alarm calls. Sometimes we miss these sounds over the sound of the engine. So yeah, we miss these sounds. We don't. Oh, Aussie lady, thank you. You are saying today has been absolutely awesome. I'm glad you think that. It's been a great drive. From this morning right through. It's been a lucky one. And elephants are back. We haven't actually seen elephants in a really, really long time. James was talking about this morning, and they're back. And for me, it's just normal elephant patterns. The season has changed. So the movement of elephants has changed. You can see the animals adjusting to the seasons, but there's still plenty water around. And that's going to be a key factor in making this winter very, very successful for the animals out here. Winter's not going to be as stressful. It's not going to be as harsh. There's water. In previous winters, water has only been in a small pan that's been pumped by a human. That means all the animals have to congregate in one place, which causes stress and tension. But this winter, for sure, is going to be different. The dams are still very, very full. Twin Dams, Treehouse Dam, Buffelshoek Dam, Gowrie Dam, and lots of pans in between. A perfect way to finish the drive. I turn my lights off and you get that skyline. I've already mentioned my plans for tomorrow, but now that I know that little cub is popping its head out, I will definitely be on cub watch. So thank you everybody for jumping on board. It's always a pleasure to have you with us. Please come again tomorrow. Until then, good night.